One of the toughest things that's come into my life here in the last couple of years, and I thought it important to bring it out and bring attention to it, is death. I mean, and this is Claudia Parker here with me. We're at Silverbrook Cemetery. And Claudia, when you're talking about this, I mean, it just blows my mind because I experienced it with my wife. And you know, what usually happens is what happens to me is I call the funeral home and they come pick up my wife and they take her back. And the next thing you know, I'm making all these plans directly, not really knowing what's going on. And there's a lot of choice out there.
There's plenty of choice. The thing is that I know in our specialty, which is doing burials, is that we really concentrate that the family has been through a traumatic event. First off, is how the family's going to come in and customer service and how we're going to treat them. And so, what we try to do is do a little bit of education along with helping them plan. Which is the big part of it, is pre-planning. Most of the families that we serve do not pre-plan, so we have to educate them on the process of burial.
Well, if you pre-plan, then that's when after it was all said and done, and I thought to myself, I wish my wife and I would have just taken, you're talking about a day. Just go out and educate yourself and find a place that you want to, you're going to be placed there. Where do I want to lie the rest of my life? And, when it came time to it and I had to go do it, you're overwhelmed with the tragedy that just took place in your life. And now you got to make all these decisions within hours, if not,
And this is a decision that you have to make. I look at it as, I have to pay my car insurance because I may have an accident. So I have to protect myself if I may have an accident. This is something that's unpredictable. I may not, but I'm still going to have to pay the car insurance. You will pass on. Family members will pass on. They will die. You should invest because it's going to happen.
And
it's something that's going to happen.
Everybody's going there eventually.
So the money will be used. Yes, the funds will be used, but it's important to educate yourself. If it's not financially feasible for you to pay for anything and pre-plan it, part of pre-planning is educating yourself. That's number one, is to get out, look at different lots, look at different cemeteries, see what they offer, see what discount packages they may have.
I hate to interrupt you because I want to talk about that. I want to get some attention to some of this as we're talking about it, because when it came to that and cemetery-wise, I didn't have that opportunity to look around. Here we're just because it's right there, and she had other family members there, my wife. So I'm going to put her over here, and that's where we're going to be. Where if I would have looked around, I would be where I'm at here, and that's why I'm here today, because Silverbrook, what a gorgeous, gorgeous cemetery you have. We're going to get out there, and we're going to see this. But this is stuff that I'm talking about, pre-planning and stuff, because when you're dealing with a funeral director, and I don't want to put any funeral homes out and make them look bad, but you're dealing with them where you could come straight to you. You don't have to buy that headstone from that funeral home. You don't have to buy certain things. You guys can help them and make those choices. So your loved one might have went to a funeral home, but you might want to go to the cemetery.
Yes. When it comes to burial, we are a one-stop. First and foremost, you do not have to go to the funeral home first. You can go right to the cemetery and make your planning. With Silverbrook, you can come right to us. You can get your lot. Okay, you can get your opening and closing costs, and you can also talk about the monuments that you want. Everything's in the package right here for a burial. After the burial is done, which is first thing, then you can concentrate on how you want to memorialize, your loved one. Either it's by a flat marker or an upright headstone. So, but you can do everything here. But there's no set process. The funeral home does not have to come first. You can come to us first and then go to.
And when you say that, because I want to talk about, if we can, these over here, and I always mess up and want to call them the wrong thing. It's the vaults. And when it comes to vaults, because if you ask me right now, what vault did my wife go into? I have not a clue. I know that I paid for a vault and paid a lot of money for a vault. Was it the one that, because certain ones do certain things, and I guess it's, you got to look at the weather that you get in an area and things like that, because we talked about earlier, ground changes. And when ground changes, vaults, some of them are designed to support better than others.
Absolutely. There are different models. As in anything else you might purchase, you have a standard vault, and then you can get something that's a little bit more upscale, which which we call a plastic guard. So there's a difference in price, but they all pretty much function the same. They all protect the casket with your loved one in it. They help stabilize the ground, and they help with, as far as moisture and water ventilation through the ground. But basically, when you look out on our cemetery, you're going to see some very, very old lots there. A lot of the monuments that are there are leaning and they're turning. A lot of those particular lots do not have vaults. They weren't into play at that time. The ones that you see that are standing more upright are usually the ones when they had vaults. Absolutely, because it's a law now. So those are the ones you can really tell the difference when you look at a lot.
And the protection, and not only, when you think about that, the environmental protection of protecting the ground and things like that. I mean,
and the remains.
Yeah,
yes.
and that's what my most important part is. And when we go to the vaults, because I did get a little bit of education, because you got a vault, you can go like this and just a flat vault and it's down. But if you get them like this, if you think about it, the structure and the way that's designed, it's designed just like when they built pyramids and stuff for that support.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have a domed head. And that serves for, like I said, moisture can go around your vault. It can go around your vault, which helps protect, I said, and stabilize the lot itself, and then protect what's inside.
And the people that have those flat roofs, what we're talking about, if you got a flat roof, you know how the water stands on your roof, well, it's going to eventually seep down through it, as everybody knows. Well, with this, it's running off, it's going down the sides, your loved one's more protected. And, there's so much more education-wise that I want to talk about, but I also want to step out into your gorgeous, because I'm telling you, I folks, afterwards, I went around and I started looking at funeral homes, and I started talking to different people because it was a shocker to me, and I'm gonna tell you what the shock was when we get outside. And when I was talking about inside, and what surprised me when it's all set, cost. Oh my goodness gracious! You don't realize how much it starts adding up when you start. Because I didn't, you're taking care of the funeral home because they got to, by law, you have to be picked up by a funeral home.
Absolutely. The funeral home orchestrates the actual event when families come and they pay tribute to their loved one. From that point, we take over. It's two different things. But as I was saying earlier, even though we're two different entities, we do work together. We collaborate to make this happen for the families. They do their thing on that side, and then we come over here and do our thing. But we have to collaborate in the beginning. Yeah, we still have to work together.
Yeah, and if you collaborate ahead of time a little bit, you're going to save a lot of money, because afterwards I went out and I did some checking and stuff, because I wrote a pretty good sized check, and thank goodness I was one of the smart ones, and my wife, being in the insurance business, she was always being sure that was there to take care of the funeral expenses, and I couldn't believe how much it costs today to really have a proper funeral for somebody. You're looking in, you're getting up there $16,000.
Easy. And when it comes to burial, that's this whole separate cost. That's a whole separate cost that a lot of families don't see until they get to us, because some families are they feel like once they paid the funeral home, then it's over, that they've taken care of this. But they find when they get here that it's absolutely different. And the average burial here could be anywhere from $3,400. It depends on what you buy, the type of vault you get. Some families come in and buy more than one lot. They feel like, okay, I have the one, I might as well get the other.
That's what I did. I had to buy the one beside my wife. Of course, I didn't want somebody else coming in and buying it.
Right.
But I don't know when I'm going to go. But when you're talking about that and coming out here, and you're looking at one of the prettiest. I mean, how long? Let's talk about how long this has been here since Silverbrook.
1895. So it's been 100 years. We've got 100 acres. It's beautiful here, as you can see. Look at the trees. It's gorgeous. But, a lot of unique things are here in this cemetery. First of all, we are not just a traditional cemetery here, but we are a memorial park that's in the back. Okay, we're both. We bury non-sectarian, so we bury all faiths. We have a Greek section. We have a Muslim section. We have a children and infant section. So it's gorgeous. This is our oldest section here that we're looking at right now. It's the oldest section of the cemetery, and then the memorial park's in the back. We have private mausoleums, you know, we have companion mausoleums, we have niches, we have a cremation lot in the back. We do cremations here.
Now that's why I want to stop you, because now imagine, put yourself in that position. You just lost the most important person of your life, somebody that you cherish, or no matter who it is. You've lost somebody close. Now you got to make a decision from all that. What do you do? You know,
that's my role. That's my role. When you come to see me, it is my purpose. It is my job to help you through that process. And to the understanding, as I was saying earlier, that this is a traumatic event. Okay, and you know, keeping that in mind to help the person through the process. So one of the first things I do is ask the person if they've ever been here before. Had they had any thoughts of what they were going to do if such a thing happened, and then I take them for a tour throughout the cemetery. I take them for a tour. I explain to them the different parts of the cemetery and what their options are. I talk about our discount packages. We do have at need discount packages. We talk about that, but it gives them a chance to kind of look and get a feel for what they might want for their loved one. And it's such a big place that I have to take them out and show them what the differences are.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, don't wait to do it. Don't wait to do it. Don't wait till the tragedy happens. Do it now. I mean, there's nothing more that I regret that my wife and I didn't really sit down and talk about. You know, we knew, hey, we're going to be buried and say, you know, together, this kind of, but we never really said, hey, how do we want it to go? What do we want to be buried in? And how, you know, can we be buried on top of each other? I found that can, you know, so there's so many different things. So pre-planning a funeral, that's what we really wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm. It is very important to pre-plan. It is an expense. It is an expense that may go on well after the person has been interred. So it is something that you really, it's a must to consider that. As I say, this is something you will use in the future. You will use it. If the benefits of it are self-explanatory, because once you have pre-planned, you have time to mourn. You have that time to mourn. It cuts out so much stress to an already traumatized family. Once it's already done, you concentrate on just having the event take place, and then you can concentrate on spending time with your family member and grieve.
Right, and that's what I was going to say, and the grieving and all that, because you got to remember now the funeral home's going to pick it the loved one up and take it and prepare the body and everything for burial. And so all that's going on. While that's going on, you can do a lot of different things in pre-planning, because like I said, as the funeral home's taking care of your loved one and preparing that, because you're gonna end up, you know, going back there for the viewing, or you might have a viewing and things like that. But there's so many things that you could have already had done, so you don't have to worry about all that. And like you said, you know, you got time to grieve. Now you got time to be with the family versus having to worry about, because I had to run like nobody's business from here to there and taking care of all this stuff. At the same time, I'm completely lost as to what's going on with my life.
Well, you have to prepare for the unexpected. A lot of things happen at the time of someone's death. You have to take care of that person's, what they leave behind. So you need time for that. You have to make phone calls to cover any bills that may be left over. You have to call Social Security if that's something that they had. You have to take care of a lot of things that were in their life that were left undone. They're left not finished. So you have to concentrate on that too. If you have it all, it can make for a lot of chaos.
Yeah, when I say prepare, you're not, and I'm talking to individuals like my good friend Kevin and stuff. You know, when I say prepare, don't leave that on your family. Don't put it on your family. You can go and prepare yourself, you know, because like I said, I know I'm going to go. And one of my thoughts right now, I know now I'm going to be buried next to my wife. There's no doubt about that. I know how I want it to be and everything. So I'm going to start planning that as I'm going now. The markers there, now I put my name on the marker. Now all somebody has to do is come out and etch that in. I'm going to be sure that the money's there for that to be, and all that, and you can help them with it. When I talk about markers, that's another thing I want to talk about. Don't make if you prepare ahead of time, you can come out here and pick the marker that you want. You both decide on that marker, and it's already picked. You've chosen it, you know, and it's there when the time comes.
And there's such a variety. There's a huge variety of markers. We have both bronze, and we have a huge variety of colors in granite. And then we have uprights. We have uprights in granite in every color. We have slants in granite in every color. And that takes a lot of time. that takes a lot of time. I usually encourage families, okay, you can think about that after all of this is over, and then you can come back and get your thoughts together, because people design and they create their monuments for their loved one, and that does take time.
Because I know when it was all said and done, I had different ones saying, "Oh, you can go over here, you go over here," and finally, a good friend of mine, because I got to give him his dues too, Mr. Paul White, who his family's been overseeing Silverbrook here from existence, so it's a family thing. He says, "Tim, come out and you can buy your monument from the cemetery." And I'm like, "Do what?" "You can buy your, you don't have to go through that. Come out here and we'll sit down with you and show you what's available." And what amazed me, because I got with you, now you guys did nothing else with the funeral at all, but when I got with you, you took so much time and showed me so many different options that were available for me, and that's important.
Well, it is a process, even when it comes down to how you want to memorialize your loved one. There is, because there is such a variety of things you can get here. And so that's when you should be able to take your time and relax and gather your thoughts. And you want your marker or your headstone to say something about that person. People think of things all the time. When all is said and done and the person has been interred, you have that time to settle down and think of what you want your memorial to say. They all say something. And we have such a variety. It's a process. It's a process of size, color, and how you're going to scroll it.
And this is important, because Claudia said that, but you've got to chop and look at your graveyards, because there are certain places that you can't put anything you want on that. You can only, so you got to be sure.
Absolutely. The thing is, if you come and you purchase a monument through us, you can purchase it through us, because then I can tell you what kind of monument you can have on your lot. In our memorial park, everything has to be bronze, everything has to be flat. In our traditional parts of the cemetery, there's a variety of uprights, slants, and markers. But families have to know that. They also need to know that if they decide to purchase their monument outside of us, that we still have to approve what comes in. We have to approve the size, we have to approve what kind of material it's made of, where is it going to go, the measurements, and there are extra fees that are attached to that on top of what they're paying the other vendor.
Yeah, and that, which was really shocking to me. The more that I got into it, the more I kept saying, this should have been planned. This should have been planned. And if you're my age, we're getting closer every day. I mean, not to say that people younger than us aren't going to pass, but when you're getting up there, and we're getting closer every day to making that. And the last thing I want to do is leave that burden on somebody else. Now, I have no children, so who's going to pay for all this? I mean, how's it going to take place? I can plan it all out from top to bottom and have it pretty much the money there and already paid for.
And you can have the opportunity at that point to finance it and make payments on it throughout until you need it. When it's an at-need burial, it has to be paid up front 100%. Pre-planning, you can take your time and make payments on it. And at the time that you need it, you have it, it's been paid on, or it's been paid in full.
Take the burden off the family. That's what it boils.
And that does not include, the burial cost does not include the cost for your memorial.
Right.
So there you go.
That's and the cost, and it can keep adding up on you and keep adding up depending on what you want. But when you talk about Silverbrook, I got to talk about the cemetery here, because it's absolutely gorgeous when you come out here. You guys do such a great job in the upkeep of this. It looks like you're driving into paradise, if you would. You want that. You want that, and you're talking about a historic cemetery as well, because and we're going to talk about cremation a little bit, and this was the place, the only crematory there was for many years was right here.
Mm-hmm. Right here. We do it all here. And just outside of our crematorium, we have a cremation lot. So we actually have people that bury their loved ones right there. They're cremated and they're buried right on the lot. There. But this cemetery is historic. It's gorgeous, and as I said, it's large. It's over 100 acres here. It's all gated, and you're going to see a variety of things that we offer here. So there is a lot to consider when you come to see us, and so there's a lot of education. We have to educate the families what's going on here. because there's so much variety.
And not only that, but when you do a marker, because you did it for me, you have to do it for everybody, just like anybody else that has to contact you guys. You contact and handled all, being sure that what I could do with the marker, the size wise and all that. You were very sure to work with my cemetery to be sure that gone. Now, if I would have come out to Silverbrook before I went over there, my wife might have been mad at me, but I wouldn't be buried. I'd be over here because this is great. Now I want to go back to that crematorium, because when you talk about cremation, what I found in looking and talking to different, because I got price listed after I, did my, funeral. I thought to myself, is this normal? Is this what it costs to do a funeral? So I went around different funeral homes and gathering up, and I was really surprised at the different pricing that you have for cremation, for caskets, for there's so you really need to, and you need to shop now and make all those plans and tell your family, hey, go here, this has been done, blah blah blah.
The cost does vary from one funeral home to the next. It does vary, and you have to go to a licensed funeral home director to, again, orchestrate your burial, whether it's a cremated burial or where it's a standard burial. The funeral home has to. That is the law.
And when you come in now, you're all distraught, and your family members just passed, and this guy, you're putting your trust into him, and he says, well, here, pick out a vault. Because you got to be involved. And here's some caskets. Choose which casket. Not telling you that there's other options out there for you to look at. I mean, you don't. If I know what I know now, I could have saved a few $1,000s, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the things that happen that put you, I'll say, at risk. I will say that when you're not prepared because you want to get this done. It can be a long process in preparing for a burial. So, the more you educate yourself, the less time and the less confusion. I went through it myself and my family. So it took all day to make decisions on what we wanted. What my mother wanted for my father, how she wanted her burial to look. So she had no idea about caskets. There was a whole room full of caskets. That took an hour and a half. So there's so many different things that.
And you want to give your loved one the best, and then you look at the best, and my goodness, I saw caskets that cost $15,000 for a casket. So now you got to look and say, okay, well, it might not be the best, maybe this is all I can afford for you.
You're more likely to get what you want and be comfortable about what you've purchased if you plan ahead.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. That's what I wanted to bring to you. I want to get that out of there. I went through so much in a very short time, and that's the problem. You have a short time to do this. And it comes on you so much. You got family there is supporting you, trying to help you make those decisions. I'm talking about buying flowers, doing this, doing that. Where if you just work with the funeral home, they kind of just here we can do this, we can do that, and really don't tell you, hey, you got an option. You go down the street and talk to the florist down there. They might do them cheaper than my florist that I'm recommending you go to. But if you do all that ahead of time, leave it, so the family understands, here's how, my funeral's laid out.
Whoever you may do business with, whomever, it is better that you do your research first. It's always better to educate yourself first, even though you may not make a purchase for pre-planning at that time. You can still do your research and find out what funeral homes are available in your area, what cemeteries are available, and do they have what you need.
Yeah, and then what I'm going to advise you to do is come see this young lady right here, because once I met her, I understood so much more about funerals. I wish I had known you, but prior to the funeral, because I know I would have changed a couple of things. But nothing was planned. The last thing I expected was my wife to pass. Even though we knew that she was sick, there's always that hope she's going to survive. So you don't think about death. But I'm trying to tell you, think about your real estate for the rest of your life, because that's. Or the rest of your time on your remains on the earth. That's what you're purchasing, is that piece of real estate there, and then you got to pay for.
And then we are responsible now. When it's done and over, it's not done and over for us. It's our responsibility to take care of your loved one for the life of it, for over
100 years so far.
So absolutely. So it's not over with, and then we still have a bigger job in managing what was happening here in this cemetery. So it goes on for the lifetime of this cemetery, that we have to take care of your loved one.
Yeah, and as you can see, you can see how well it's taken care of just here in the older part of it, and how well those monuments stand. We got so much more we want to talk about. This is the very beginning of Silverbrook Cemetery, and Claudia educating you on what you need to do to prepare yourself for your funeral and not leave all that burden on your family. You can prepare today.